All right, we have R.J. Young with us now here on the show. You heard him about a month or so ago. We had him on the show. He's a guy that cut his teeth talking about the Oklahoma Sooners, now the host of Game Night on ESPN, YouTube star. You can catch all of his work on YouTube. And RJ, I trust your expertise on Oklahoma here. I am cowering at the thought of going to play this game now all of a sudden in Norman as K-State is hemorrhaging defensive backs. Any reason for hope that this will not be a blowout on Saturday?
Hemorrhaging defensive backs? Like, the reason that I think this game is actually interesting is I want to know what your third and fourth strings look like for both of these squads, right? Because Oklahoma just had to go through something like this against Missouri State. Now, it's Missouri State. It's an FCS squad, and they weren't even a very good FCS squad with a first-year head coach who had almost no time to put in his offense. That's not the case with Kansas State. I like to think that y'all know what you got on your two deep, and if it's your two deep versus Oklahoma's two deep, you're going to see a bunch of redshirt freshmen and true freshmen, and maybe there's something to be had there. Because I got to tell you, man, I like me some Deuce Vaughn. I've liked Deuce Vaughn since he was in high school, and if that dude gets 25 carries, I think it's an interesting game because as I've been telling people down here, I see him as Darren Sproles light. Now, that might be because I'm a short guy myself, and I'm already partial to the short tailbacks. And when you tell me a dude is 5'5", 160 pounds playing FBS football in the Big 12, he's already got my vote.
Well, listen, I mean, you're the same as many around here, including Mitch Portner, who you talked to getting you on the show here. I mean, he's been quick to make that comparison to Darren Sproles. It's an obvious one, and I understand it. I think the concern for me is much more the defense going up against Spencer Rattler and Oklahoma's offense. I saw the extended highlight of Oklahoma's game. Rattler makes it look easy. I mean, clearly he's got the physical tools to be the next in line of what Lincoln Riley has. Was he, to you, everything is advertised in the opener?
Yeah, man. I've been following and watching Rattler since his junior year of high school, and it's been the same thing all the way through. He's got real easy gas. It comes off of his wrist like you might actually build it. Riley actually said that earlier this week. Like, if you're going to build an arm, you're probably going to build his. Now, I would add here, Jalen Hurts was undefeated when he traveled up to Manhattan, and that man won a national championship and finished Heisman runner-up, and he had himself a day, right? He didn't play poorly. It's the defense that played poorly. So if you can get home, and even FCS Missouri State got home, you got a shot. I give you one guy to watch for Oklahoma's offense be left tackle, because Anton Harrison was supposed to start as the left tackle there as a true freshman. That makes him only the third guy in the history of the school to actually get that sort of opportunity, the other one being Drew Samia in 2015 against Akron. So if you line up Wyatt over the top of a true freshman tackle, I like to think that you're going to have your way, not unlike last year. That was the problem for Oklahoma last year. Whether or not it was Eric Swinson or R.J. Proctor, just beating up on that left side of the offensive line and being able to get home was a big deal. So if Oklahoma can keep Rattler clean, yeah, okay, cool, easy work. But if they can't, hell, man, we might actually get ourselves a football game.
Yeah, there we go. I would take it. R.J. Young is talking with me here. No matter what happens in this game on Saturday, I would say that K-State, Iowa State, and Kansas probably owe Oklahoma an apology for what happened in the opening weekend of the college football season. How much do you think that hurts the playoff chances of Oklahoma or Texas, if we're going to include them in this conversation?
We got to include Texas in this conversation, not only because they're a top 25 team, but because, hell, they're the only program in this conference that ain't embarrassed itself just yet, man. Like, I would include everybody but West Virginia, not named Oklahoma and Texas in this. You've embarrassed the Big 12, even Texas Christian, because you had one job. Just keep your kids from catching the COVID and go beat up on SMU, and we don't even get that now, right? I look around and I say, this has always been an Oklahoma and Texas league, and we get that, but doggone, man, like, I don't know what to do with this league because this is not the year for a one-loss Big 12 team to make the playoff. And let's assume, for the sake of argument, that that one-loss team is not Oklahoma or Texas. Kiss it goodbye, right? Now you have to actually demand that OU and Texas run the table, and we know that one of them ain't because we got the game on October 10th in Dallas, right? So I looked at Oklahoma State last week, and I said, is that all you guys got? Is this, I mean, I went to the University of Tulsa for undergrad, right? I got the master's from Oklahoma. So I have a vested interest in TU. Hell, I started a scholarship there. They embarrassed the hell out of me because, look, you had 105 yards rushing and 115-yard penalties and a piss-poor clock management situation, and you still only lost 16-7. To which I look at Mike Gundy and said, what the hell are you doing? So at very least, right, I thought I could trust Klitz Kleiman to take care of this. And then I got this understanding that Skylar Thompson wasn't able to run the football against Arkansas State, and that's why he had the quarterback change. And I'm going, okay, does anybody know what they're doing? And the answer is no. Nobody knows what they're doing. And when nobody knows what they're doing, what do we revert to? We revert to the SEC is dominant, we revert to Ohio State is good, and we revert to Clemson is dominant. I was expecting some sort of chaos this year. I did not expect it to be the ravaging of the Big 12, John.
Well, this is where, RJ, my theory, and I was saying this even a couple of months ago, like leading up to the season, because I thought it would be better for COVID purposes, like, hey, just play a 9+1 Big 12 schedule, right? Into the year, 1v2 in the title game, and then go 3, 4, 5, 6. At the time thinking, hey, then you won't have to deal with non-con teams and what their COVID protocols would be. Now, in hindsight, I look at it and say you should have done that just to not hang yourself out to dry the opening week of the season because, yes, these teams did throw up all over themselves, but I think some of that can be expected in a pandemic circumstance, so many unknowns, and you're going out and playing teams that are capable enough, right? I mean, group of 5 teams are better now than they have been in years past. That just seemed like a recipe for disaster, and you could have avoided that by simply playing conference games and not being judged by the rest of the college football world.
The SEC looks at what the Big 12 did and said, hey, guys, was that a good idea? It doesn't look like it was a good idea. Because can you imagine if it would have been, for the sake of argument, Auburn that lost to Arkansas State and not Kansas State? Can you imagine if it was perhaps Kentucky that lost to Louisiana Lafayette, right, and not Iowa State? Then we would all get to make fun of the SEC and how it just means more. And now, because it happened to them, right? Last year, Georgia State went into Rocky Top and came out with their pelt and the check. So it happens. And I think that at the very least, if you're Arkansas, for instance, right, you go 0-10, everybody expects you to go 0-10. If Arkansas would have lost to a Sun Belt team, even if it was a good one, like Appalachian State or Georgia Southern, we'd still say that Arkansas team should have beat up on them. So I think you got something there. But even in not having to mess with other non-conference protocols, that ain't been the problem, right? I mean, and I think most people would cop to this. The problem is we're together. You got to have over 100 people to run a football program, period. And we know that the one thing that you can't do if you expect this virus to go away is have a bunch of people together. So as much as I want to say that the non-conference games might have had something to do with it, I know that it didn't. I know that this is as simple as college kids are college kids, and Aggieville stays popping, just like Campus Court in Norman stays popping. And we're going to keep running into this over and over again. Hell, Houston had, a third straight game canceled just today? Because Houston's a good town. Who the hell wouldn't want to be in Houston? I understand what you mean by saying conference only because we'd all look good, but I'm glad that they played these games. I'm glad the Big 12 got exposed, and I'm glad that I get to talk about this league in the way that it deserves to be talked about, which is third at best, fourth if Oregon's good.
RJ, before I let you go, and RJ Young talking with me, what are you most intrigued by this weekend in the Big 12?
I want to see if Oklahoma actually covers the spread because 27 is a lot. And I want to see if that Texas Tech game was a red herring, right? Because, look, beating Houston Baptist 35-33 ain't a good look, man. It's just not. I don't care how damn good they are. That's not a good look. So I want to see who bounces back. I want to see if this having a game under your belt has something to do with how you play the next week because that seems to be one of the data points we can look to. And I want to see if there's any carryover from the way that Kansas State played last year to the way they played this year, because I think you should go into that game thinking you could win if you're Kansas State. I don't think you should go into that game thinking you're going to lose by 28, and I damn sure don't think that Oklahoma should go in there thinking they're going to win by 28. They better come out blazing, because if it's late and in the fourth quarter, we all know that anybody could win that game.
Well, I have been cowering about it all week in fear, RJ, so I'm glad that you've at least pumped a little bit of life back into me. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, we're always good at talking about other people's teams. We're not good at lifting up our own.
That's right. That's right. RJ, appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right, brother. See you, John.
There's RJ Young. You can catch him on YouTube, honestly, with highly